Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be a ranking of the Catrice 5-in-a-box eyeshadow palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today's video is going to be a ranking of all 8 of the Catrice 5-in-a-box eyeshadow palettes. I thought it was high time to update you. I did a video like this back when we only had 6 of these, but since then 2 more have been released. The latest one just this spring summer season, so that's why I was like, you know what, I need to come on here and update everyone on how I feel about these palettes. Is my favorite still my favorite, or have some things changed? Have my preferences changed perhaps? And let's just chat about these 8 eyeshadow palettes. But before we get into it, it may be good to know that I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, which greatly skews my makeup preferences. And because I have been buying, trying, and reviewing makeup for more than a decade, I have some very strong opinions as well. So if you like to stay tuned for all of that goodness, and if you want to know what this channel is all about, it may be good to know that I focus on eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of your makeup. So if you're interested in more, then definitely click the subscribe button down below and join the Snow Angel family. Catrice 5-in-a-box eyeshadow palettes are these ones. So this is what they look like. If you think, that looks like Natasha Denona. I happen to have a couple of Natasha Denona palettes just lying right next to me. This is what the mini retro looks like, and this is what the 5-in-a-box looks like. It's the exact same style packaging. The Natasha Denona feel a little bit heftier, like a little heavier in the hand, and they feel perhaps a little sturdier. This is cheaper plastic, you could say, but they're very much styled in a very similar manner. Each one of these kind of fulfills a similar concept in terms of the shade you get. Every single one of these 8 palettes focuses on one sort of color story and sort of, well, executes it throughout the entire palette with 2 shimmers and 3 mattes slash satins, I feel. So some of them have a little bit more intense shimmer, and the intense shimmers are usually the first and the 4th shade that you get in the palette. So that's what these palettes have to offer. There are 8 of them in total. They were released in several batches though, and not all of the shades that I have, because I own all 8, may be available everywhere. But I hope that this video can still be useful no matter where you're at, because if you have access to Catrice, then some of these palettes are going to be available to you anyways. And I think there may actually be a couple of online retailers that ship internationally that will have pretty good stock on most of these. So I'll make sure to link a couple of these down below so that you can pick them up. If you aren't in the EU, however, Catrice can be a more difficult brand to find. This is what I get a lot of feedback from a lot of you guys who are, for instance, in the UK or in the US. Just know that Catrice does have an official website in the US, and if you can't find something through other retailers, that their US website is your safest bet if you are in the US. In the UK, I have heard, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it is available through Wilko and some other like online retailers as well. It may not be something you can find online, like in stores, but that actually goes for me and a lot of Essence and Catrice products that I feature on my channel as well. I will very often already talk about things before they ever hit stores here. So for me, Essence and Catrice is also very much an online experience rather than going into store and seeing things, if that's what you're wondering. But there are a couple of EU retailers. I know that Lyko ships internationally. They are a Scandinavian website as far as I can tell, and they stock a lot of Catrice even after it's already been discontinued. Whatever stock they have remaining, they just keep it on the website until it sells out completely. So very often that's also a website, like if a product is my favorite and I want to buy a backup of it, because I did buy a backup of one of these, then that's the way I go about it. So you may actually have easier access to these than you might expect at first glance. So I'll make sure to link a couple of those retailers down below, and I'll try and find a retail link for each one of these if I can still find them. And because I just want to spread the love, just like a mini incentive in this video, I will be giving away my favorite one. So stay tuned till the end to know how you can win my favorite 5-in-a-box eyeshadow palette because I have one of these extra. So in 8th place is one of the ones that was released a little bit later. So as I already mentioned, this was released in several batches. We got 4 of these over here at first, and we got an extra 2, and then there were single releases. And they've also changed the packaging slightly, as you will see in a minute. But my number 8 least favorite is the 5th one that came out. This is the blue smoky look. And I'll make sure to, like, if I can still find some like swatches or something, I'll make sure to pop those up on the screen as well. And this is just my least favorite. And this may be something that most people may not expect knowing what I like, which is cool tones. I'm wearing a very cool tone makeup look today as well. And I'm here for it. I love my cool tones. You guys know that about me. But I'm just not a huge fan of grays on myself. I prefer a cool tone if they're a taupe or like a purpley shade, or like I do like cool tone blues, but then I prefer them to be navies. And this is essentially a gray palette with a pop of blue. And that to me just isn't very exciting. The grays in this palette also have a very blue undertone. And where I like that sometimes, if they have this like grayish steel blue vibe, then I really like it. But I don't love just blue tone grays on myself. I just find it very smoky, very stark, and this is just not going to work for a lot of people. But that's not the main reason why this is in the 8th place. The reason why this gets 8th place is because it's not the same formula as the original 4. I felt that they definitely, this is the same actually for some other eyeshadow lines that Catrice does, that the formula just isn't consistent in every single one of these, which is why this is in the number 8 spot, because I felt of the 2 that it was released with at the time. So this was released together with the Vivid Burgundy look, which is still coming up because I like that one a lot better. And I just didn't feel this quality was the same as we got in the other palettes. This is the one that I find is the least pigmented, the most difficult to work with in terms of the way these shadows blend and also stay put. The best part about this this palette for me is that nice white shimmer that we get in the top. That's really pretty, but the rest of this palette I felt, if I want cool tones, I want them to still have a hint of brown to them. And there's definitely another palette in the range that does that for me that was released before this. So I think that if this had been part of the initial launch of the 4 palettes they did at first, this might have gone higher up on the list. But from the point of view, like where it was released, when it was released, the quality we got in here, this is my least favorite. So number 7 on the list is also number 7 that was released, and this is Elegant Khaki Look. Now this looked very exciting to me when this was announced. I thought that it could be a dupe, perhaps for something like Mini Zendo by Natasha Denona. Let me open it up a little bit further. But as you can see, they aren't quite alike. We do get something that's a little bit peachy, but it's a bit more orange than pink like these ones are. The green we get in here is a matte, we don't get a shimmering green, and that's exactly what I didn't like about this palette, was that we essentially only get one green shade. For a palette that is called Khaki, I would have wanted there to be more green tones in this palette. Essentially, it's a peach, it's a gold, it's like beiges, and then one green shade, which was a bit of a letdown to me. Is this still workable eyeshadow? If this is your color story, can you get away with it? For sure, you can create some stunning looks out of it, but I feel it's not that versatile. Also because the like most intense, most like the darkest shade we get is the khaki, so then when are you going to use that? This would have been better if we didn't get 2 very light mid-tones in here. If this or this had been a green, I would have liked it a lot better. And the same thing for that shimmer in the middle. Is it a green tone gold that I prefer over very yellow tone golds? Yes, but I just wanted there to be a true green shimmer, like something like we got in the Mini Zendo for sure. So this wasn't quite perfect. It looked a lot more exciting when it was announced than it did once I got it home, which is why this is ranked in the number 7 spot. Next up is the 6th one, and the 6th one is the first OG release. This is 010 Golden Nude Look. And the only reason why it's ranked in the bottom half is because it's boring. I mean, this is not necessarily the kind of palette that you go like, I need this in my life, because chances are that you already have this from the drugstore. It just looks like any other neutral brown tone palette that the drugstore has done in recent years. You can buy this from places like Wet n Wild, you can get this from Milani, you can get this from e.l.f., you can get this from Essence, you can even get something like this from Maybelline or Rimmel. No sweat. So this is just not unique enough for it to be ranked high, but this is a really good formula. This is when the formula truly, like, when I first tried these first 4, I was like, yes, I love these. And in here we get golds, but they're not too stark. They're more bronze leaning than gold leaning, for me anyways. This brown is a really good neutral brown. The darkest brown in here is nicely dark and saturated. It's like that chocolatey, almost coffee bean kind of brown, which I think in terms of a dark brown is like really workable for a lot of people. It's just that these two light shades just, you know, they're just not that exciting. So for me, if this had a bit more of an exciting pop like we got in some of the other ones, this would have ranked higher, but it is really good quality. And if you're just looking for a good basic, I would recommend this one. In place number 5, we have 060 Vivid Burgundy Look. So this one was released together with my lowest ranking palette, the Blue Smoky Look. And this one I like, but it is pretty warm toned. Now this looks like it's going to be red, but on my cooler undertone, when I blended it out, it pulled more pink, making it very flattering and sort of more like a berry rose gold kind of palette, rather than a true red, which to some people that might make it rank very low, but on me, I felt it worked really well. However, it's a warm tone color story, and those are never my favorite. So for me, just because of that color story, I have to rank it just a touch lower than some of the others. And also here, I feel that the quality is slightly different compared to the other 6 palettes that were released in this line. I definitely think that these 2 that were released in the middle had lesser quality. I feel though that this one is better quality than the one with the blue. So if you were to get just one and this is still available to you, this is a really good one. It can work on multiple different skin tones and undertones because it does go deep enough. You get something that's light enough to blend something out. And because it has this shape-shifting quality almost, that if you put this on warm-toned skin, it's going to be more warm-toned. And if you put it on cool-toned skin, it's going to be more cool-toned. I think this can work for a lot of people. And especially if you have green eyes, shades like this can really clash with the green. And perhaps even if you have blue eyes, you can really make them pop with a color story like this. So this is definitely a good one, but it's not quite my favorite. And this may come as a little bit of a shock to you because my 4th ranking palette from the 5 in a Box line is 030 Warm Spice Look. And at first I was like, this is very warm tone, so I don't really like it. But in terms of quality and just the way these colors come together, I was really happy with this. So this is a stunning, warm-toned, spicy color story. If you like your orangey, spicy tones, this one is for you. It's really amazing quality. We get 2 really nice shimmers. Again, that very light matte, I sometimes wish they would do something else with that, but it's got a really good mid-tone, like, it's like a spicy cinnamon kind of shade. And then the dark brown in here is a similar brown to the one you get in a golden toned look, but this is far more warm toned. This is a lot more warmth, a lot more red running through it, and that's why it works, and that's why I think this is a really good one if you do want to go for that intense warmth. Because I have brown eyes, if I want to make them look extra glam and sultry, these kind of color stories can look really nice on me, but it's really only a going out kind of thing for me. The other ones I still have left are better for me for every day and what I like to wear on a day-to-day basis. Kicking off the top 3 then is 020 Soft Rose Look. And if you've watched my channel for a while, then you may have already an inkling of my top 3. Actually, I did a short not too long ago where I swatched out my top 3 of these 3, and they're the 3 that are still living in my makeup collection. The other ones I just keep in storage so I can do videos like this. But yeah, Soft Rose look is a stunning, cool toned rose color story. We get, again, a really nice dark brown. That's on the cooler tone side. This rose gold. I've never done this. Perhaps I should do it at some point. But this is like a mix of Urban Decay's YDK and Mugshot from the Naked 2 and 3. Two of my favorite all-time one-and-done shadow shades. And this is like those two went and have a baby. And it's stunning. It's taupey, rosy, but not too gray and not too warm. Yes, it has a little bit of warmth, but not too much. It's a really nice balanced shimmer shade. We get that matte dusty rose that is a great crease shade. This time I don't mind that lighter matte in here because I feel that it works really well for blending either one of these mattes out. Or if you want to go for something basic and natural, then this can be a really nice shade for the crease as well, because it has a little bit more depth to it. It is definitely not as light as some of the other shades we get in these palettes, and it's got a taupe leaning undertone, which is why I like it. And then I also really enjoy this lighter shimmer that we get in here. I feel that especially these lighter shimmers in the 5 in a Box palettes all have something different to offer. If you look at them side by side, they may look the same, but they all have a different undertone that goes perfectly with the main color story. Number 2, and this one has been dethroned because I believe the last time I did this video, which is almost 2 years ago, I put this in the number 1 spot. This is a 040 Modern Smoky Look, and when I told you that they already did a color story similar to the Blue Smoky Look, but with taupes, and that was my favorite, and you know this lineup, then you know that this is my favorite. So here we do get a bluish tone gray, and this shimmer as well, but these are more slate blues. That's what I would like to call them, like steely blues, slate blues. It's a really good balance between a blue and a gray, whereas the shades in the Blue Smoky Look are just straight up blue, grays with a pop of blue. This has a little bit more to offer, making it go really well with these very neutral leaning shades. This is why this is one of the more versatile ones, because for a 5 shadow eyeshadow palette, we get a lot of things we can do. We can keep it very basic with some of these neutrals here. We can go full-on glam if we use all 5 shades, but we definitely also have the option to just do a very neutral look with a pop of blue on the lower lash line, for instance. We can also go very deep dark and smoky if we focus on this half of the palette. So you just have a lot of like ways in which you can mix and match these, and that's why I enjoy this one so much. It's got a mid-tone taupe brown, and this is one that I have a backup for because I love it that much. The only thing I would change here, again, is that lighter matte shimmer. I feel that especially if you have all of them, this becomes the most repetitive shade in all of these because it's a bit like, did we need this? And I love how this lightest shade is like a cool tone champagne. Someone asked me actually the other day, like if I had any recommendations for a cool tone champagne. I couldn't really think of any, but I think this is the thing that comes closest. It's the level of depth that you get with most champagnes, but without the gold. This is more of like a taupey, very light taupey shimmer, but that leans a bit more towards the beige champagne side of things. It's got a little bit more yellow running through it rather than something that's very icy. And I think that that's a perfect shade that just goes together so well. Really nice and shiny. And as I mentioned, versatile as well. And that's where my top 2 comes in actually. But then number 1, yes, that one has been dethroned by the latest release in this lineup. The 080 Diamond Lavender Look is now my favorite. When I reviewed this for you in February, I challenged myself to see how many looks I could pull out of it, because this looks very monochromatic. But I was able to pull like 5 looks out of this, and I was like, right, this is actually a lot more versatile than it may look. And the reason why I love this one so much isn't just the quality. It's really nice quality. It's light though. It's not going to be perfect if you have deep skin. Then maybe one of the other options is better for you. But this works really well against my fair skin tone. It shows up beautifully, and we get a purpley, gray, dirty, dusty mauve leaning shade in every single one of these shades. Even the shimmer has a little bit of a hint of lilac running through it, just a touch, but just enough. And here again, I feel you can do something very basic with just the top two shades. You want to do a pop of purple on the lower lash line, then you can. And these two grays aren't just straight up grays. They look like it perhaps in the pan. Maybe I can, hold on. If I put it next to these blue tone grays in the blue smoky look, can you see how purple these are? Like compared to this palette looks like a straight up purple palette, which essentially it is. So the reason why I love that one isn't just because it's versatile or because it has really nice formulation. It also has a purple undertone in the gray tones, which I personally prefer, which is why I felt when I sat down to film this video that this had to be my number one. Some people have been mentioning because the packaging has now changed from this white background to the clear background that they think it comes with less product, but actually these haven't changed. Because this, if I'm not mistaken, yes, these old ones in the white packaging are 4 grams of product, and this is also still 4 grams of product. So I think it's more an optical illusion with the white background that it looks like the pans are bigger. And with this, because it has the transparent base, it looks like the pans are smaller. It's not. You still get the same amount of eyeshadow as you do in all the other ones. So that's another reason why I still like it. It's one of the more consistent lines that Catrice has to offer. And that's why I love this line to begin with. And if you were looking to buy a Catrice eyeshadow, I would recommend looking into these. They're small, they're curated, they're incredibly fun to work with. Is this the best eyeshadow of your life? No, but is it really good eyeshadow at an affordable price point that's not going to break the bank, but allows you to play around with different color stories? Then the answer to that question is definitely yes. So that's why I wanted to come on here to say this. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, I am going to be like just putting in a mini giveaway in this video today and giving away my spare 5 in a box in the Diamond Lavender look. So if you'd like to win this, all you need to do is leave a comment down below, and the only thing you need to say is I would like to enter the giveaway, and like leave me some way to contact you. So leave me a comment down below and add a way to contact you, whether that's a DM on Instagram or an email address that I can reach you on. And then the giveaway will be open for a few weeks, and then I will just randomly pick a winner and I'll send this to you wherever you are in the world. So if you would like to give this a shot, especially if you're not in the EU, you find it really difficult to find these, then maybe this is a good opportunity for you to try some Catrice. So yeah, check out the description box down below for all of the specifics on that giveaway, for how long it runs and how I'm going to be contacting the winner. I'll put all of that info in the description box down below. Yeah, I just thought I could like just throw something in here to give back to everyone. So thank you so very much for joining me today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make several videos every single week on here. We're currently in the midst of eyeshadow palette week. I still have a couple of videos left for you, and then I hope to see you in my next video again. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.